I'm doing well. I'm doing well, thanks. So, we're going to talk about mentality today.
Yes.
Okay, no worries. So, you mentioned that we have some sets where this came up. Were
Yep.
those sets recorded by any chance?
Yes.
Excellent.
So I've got a YouTube link for one, and for the other one, I have the Slippy files.
Which one is more? Which one is the better set for this problem?
Um,
If they're equal, I'm going with YouTube.
I think they're probably, if anything, probably the best of five. I think because, um, I think maybe I have a recollection of the two FD games being not that they were like opposites or anything. Like the second one was definitely close, and the first one I lost, but. I remember feeling when I was playing them as though in the first one I couldn't hit any punishes, and in the second one I was starting to. I do also remember his defense surprising me a couple times in the on the first FD game as well. I think he hit some nice STIs that surprised me and maybe drop combos, so that might be part of it as
Sure.
well.
But to make the gist of it, so like let's just take a look at how this game ends. What can you tell me? Actually, let's look at this game. Just like we'll talk about the set like while this is playing, so I can just kind of see what's going on. But what do you remember about this set when things started to kind of go sideways? Like, because you said that things like it was a lot of ups and downs. What are like what went wrong, and then what went well, and then like how did it flip again? I guess. Um,
Mm, Let me see. I think part of this is also, so I think I'm a bit of a volatile player. I also think Glasper is a bit of a volatile player. So I do remember moments where he would kind of get momentum and then he would kind of just like be able to build like a pretty solid lead off of it.
yeah.
Um, Moments where he would like get in and then do like quite a bit of damage with his openings. And then like do a good job of like following up on like the pseudo neutral situations that happen afterwards. Um,
Yeah,
so
like
it,
that
it
was really clean. Like the way he hit that was really clean. So yeah, if
mhm,
he's able to like cuz that drill the way he did it like limits the impact of smash GI cuz he only hit you with like
yeah,
one or two hits. So like he's
exactly.
clearly like got his he's clearly got a lot of refinement in that area of his game. Like certainly there's going to be positions where he's really deadly, and that's the impression I'm getting.
Yep.
Okay. I see. And then with you, you're playing Marth in this one. I've seen what you look like when you're punishing on point as well, and you know you know your stuff. You've got a good sense. If you've refined your edge guarding, then like because that was something we talked about.
Mhm.
If that's if we've applied some of those concepts, and I haven't seen them yet, like really come up here, but that's okay. I might have also missed them because we're going at normal speed. But yeah, yeah, I can totally see how this would have like a really swingy dynamic for sure.
I think that's also part of what happens when, like between the moments where I'm doing well and the moments where I'm doing badly. In the moments where I'm doing well, I do actually hit the edge guards.
Nice.
And the moments where I'm not doing well, often Fox can live kind of forever.
So like this is funnily enough is something that we came up with last time because I think this is another spot where like going low is actually like potentially really good because
Hmm.
you see how he like jumps here to like
Hmm.
prepare for your like thing, but like for your for how you recover. But yeah, like that's part of why going low can be good there because you can kind of
Hmm.
align your sword with him. So I just wanted to kind of remind about like that concept because we went over that last time. I know that's super scary, so I get it, but it's still like we could have
It's
we could have lived.
it's actually it's something I have been working on recently. I went to BOBC, and
Nice.
when I was there, I actually got the chance to play a lot of friendlies with Salami because we were rooming together. And in the beginning, he was still kind of annihilating me in a lot of the games. He's very, very good against Marth now. And he's specifically very good against edge guarding Marths who do that exact thing where you try to like play around getting to the ledge instead of trying to go low.
Hmm.
Um, and by the end of the weekend, he actually said that he thought my recovery's gotten a lot better because I was starting to do less predictable stuff, like actually going low and trying to like make him edge guard the up B instead of just shining like the double jump or the air dodge like every single time.
I really like that you went for this. This makes so much sense. Like it was off by a hair, but like man, that was such a good idea. Like, cause yeah,
I
like
actually, do you think it actually connects there, or did I just like miss it just barely, or is it just never going to connect at that
I
percent? I
think
know it's like kind of like that upper bound of the range where I think it might work.
I think that it doesn't work anymore, but I think that it's such a good check on the fox's jump that like it works enough of the time that I would consider it in that spot. It's probably escapable. That's my read. I don't know the percent though, so I'm not gonna say like definitively that's right. But it's my read is that it probably it probably doesn't work, but it's close.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he just runs away with this at the end. Like after that, he just kind of like is all over you.
Yeah.
So what does he do exactly? So he's got Nair in the corner. This is the importance of those overshoots, because we talked about this. Like, yeah, like he was about to run away, so the dash attack like clipped him. But we need to put up like I think we need to like try to like multitask possibly like with our options in these corners positions a little less, because I think that you're trying to like do multiple things with your fairs and nairs there. But it's like we kind of like I feel like we need to value defending our space or trying to hit him, but not be doing both.
Okay. So what does that look like when you're saying, like, is defending our space more of a fade back and attacking him is more of like...
Yeah, so exactly? Let's take a look at how we get into this corner, right? So you get put in here, then you go into shield here, you get hit, and then you come forward so far. So like it's still on the next fair is way more successful in my opinion, because you're fading back on it, so you're guarding your space. But I think that if you're going to advance in the corner, like out of the corner like that, I think that we need something that either has higher efficiency on landing, like Nair, or we want to do something that, because Nair is better at taking space forward, I think, because of it's just there's no high-low mix-up with it in the same way that there is with like fair. Like if we fair forward, then we are either assuming that we're assuming their timing basically, because we have to do it like either the delayed one or we're open going up, or we do the other, or we do the rising one, but then we're open coming down. With Nair is a little bit better at eating space because you have the two swings that are closer together than double fair, and you also have the auto cancel to back it up at the end, so it's a much tighter punish window as well. Either that or use movement. Like I kind of look at like the amount that we're shielding here, and I go like, why are we shielding so much? Because like we don't need to like, is the purpose of this shield to like stop a Nair or something? Like what was the idea here?
So this particular spacing, I don't know if this is exactly what I was thinking about at the time, but it's definitely thinking about Nair. I think the idea is to cover multiple different potential Nairs with the same shield, because if he does the Nair where I'm expecting him to do it, which is like ahead of me essentially, where it's not going to hit me, then I just get to shield grab him because he doesn't hit my shield at all. But then I'm still like safer than if I go for like an actual dash dance grab here, if he does decide to push forward, which he does with like the shine there instead.
But if he like, okay, so here's my question though. If you go for the dash dance grab with given your percent, can't you just like hold down on the Nair anyway?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so like here's my concern with this play. So like we've got this, we take a little bit of lasers. To me, once he enters about this point, like once he's like entered this point, this is like about the spot where I'm thinking about like where I want to, like what I want to do about Fox's options. And I just think that like given our percent, it's really like if he runs forward and up smashes, our grab was probably going to outrange it. If he comes forward with like shine like he does, then like we're fine. If he comes forward with grab, we're fine. It's really, if he nairs, we're still okay kind of, because we are like dash dance grab would like move us back a little bit more too, because we don't have like we're gonna do more of a dash away. Like the shield, I feel like the shield pivot is just like like it stops us immediately basically. Like there's no sliding motion on it. So I just feel like we're limiting I feel like we're just kind of limiting ourselves by going for that. And then yeah, like on top of that you have the percent. So yeah.
I think probably dash dance grab and then hold down is probably better. It's something that I have not, like I do it in situations where it's really obvious. Like if I try to do something and I see them full hopping above me and it's like, okay, they're obviously going to backer me and I'm at 20%. So I'm just going to hold down and CC grab or something. But it's not something that I do very often in those like horizontal neutral situations, which is something that I definitely need to work in. Pressing grab and then holding down.
Honestly, something you can do to make life easy on yourself, it's okay to use the C stick for, like, I don't know how you hold your controller, but do you play on box or do you hold control, or do you do controller?
I have a fob.
Fob.
When I'm
Nice.
crouch canceling, I do hold down on the left stick instead of the C stick. I have not trained myself to use the C stick yet for that.
See, I view crouch canceling and ASDI down as different things now, because a lot of times, like what characterizes a crouch is that we actually have to hold down, right? Because we have to enter crouch. But I view ASDI down differently because we can do it with the C stick. The C stick overrides the control stick, which is how slide off works, right? So I feel like it's easier to like parse them out that way. Yeah, and the other kind of cool thing about it is it means that it doesn't interfere with our movement.
Yes, yeah, that's true. I think that's always why I've had a hard time working it in, because of the interfering with the movement part.
Yeah, so like when we do an action, when we're already committed, I think that like knowing to like C stick down for like a short window is like a much easier ask than like changing our entire movement like follow up.
So then the inputs that you're imagining for that would be press grab, hold down on the C stick, and then my thumb is kind of committed to holding the C stick down. So how am I hitting? Because normally what I would do is I would hold shield and then press A in order to get a CC grab.
Okay.
Because that allows me to avoid, if I just press Z and I'm too early, then I get the buffered light shield, which kind of ruins like the whole situation for me.
Okay. So wait, where do your fingers rest on the controller?
I would consider it to be like a standard grip. So left thumb on the control stick, and then right thumb is pressing the face buttons A, B, Y, X, and the C stick, and then my right index finger is on the shield button. And I use the right shield for L canceling and wave dashing, basically everything. I have it set up so that right shield is, I think it's a keyboard switch at the moment. It's a digital only. Both shields are digital only, but the right shield is full hard shield, and the left shield is full light shield.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so what I'm thinking is like you'd flick the C stick down. Okay, so yeah, this won't work as well with this grip. Because yeah, I think that solution jumps out at me because I claw. So like my thumb is just always near the C stick anyway. But it's still maybe not on grab specifically. On grab we might have to use the control stick, but certainly on things like forwards, like if you like went for like a forward smash or something, right? Then I think that it makes sense to use the C stick for ASDI down. So but I see how that doesn't work necessarily if you're like planning on doing if you're planning on doing grab after. Although honestly, you could like hold forward on the control stick and then just press Z and then just press Z to like kind of like do the buffer walk grab thing. But you could, if you're a frame early, you will produce forward tilt. So that's like the kind of like one beware thing. But like it seems doable. Like it seems like there'd be you could have a solution. You could also shield. So you're doing shield grab, right? You could also use the is it L that's the light shield or?
Yeah, L is the light shield, R is the hard shield.
Yeah, that's like kind of like yeah, you'd have to like hold down and then move your thumb to. You'd have to like after you get hit, you'd have to move your thumb to A, off the C stick. Yeah.
Which is it's probably possible, honestly.
Play around with it. Like it's one of those things where it's like I think that it's just the type of thing that we'll have to like because you're gonna have to learn how to ASDI down at some point. So whether you use the control stick or the C stick, it's up to you. But yeah, like it's just a thought. But let's keep watching this match because I think like so this looks like it's going well so far. So what point would you like what's going on in your mind right now? Like okay, that was okay. I see. So yeah. Let's see how much he gets. Actually, I'm curious. So he gets this, and then how much does he move on this up here? I'm actually really interesting. So, oh wow. Okay. That was like 2. Jesus. Huh. Okay.
He's a box fox for the record.
Yeah, that was like 2 or 3 or something. That was crazy. You had a good DI. You had good DI there too. Nice. Okay, cool. So he just like, yeah. So it's the up airs into stuff that's like kind of like tripping you up right now. And what's going? What does your self-talk sound like, if any, if there's any?
I don't know if I have like conscious self-talk in moments like this.
What are the vibes?
It's hard for me to remember, to be honest. This was on Sunday.
Okay.
I remember feeling like, so with the caveat that I try not to assign value to my play anyway. I'm kind of inner game of tennis pilled in that way.
Yeah, of course.
But I did feel like at the time things were not going super well for my punish game. I did feel like I was hitting good defensive stuff. Like my recovery was decent.
Yeah, you hit another smash DI on the up air.
I was hitting
too.
smash DIs. I was hitting smash DIs on like every single up air basically. So I didn't really feel like I was playing bad per se. I wasn't like down on myself, but it definitely felt like things were kind of like running out of control a bit with the punish game for sure.
Okay.
When stuff like so when he hit the SDI, I kind of just remember being like, oh damn, that was nice. I'll have to like think about that.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like a wow, I'm bad for dropping that or anything like along those lines. It was mostly just like that was a nice SDI, and I have to worry about that in the future.
Okay, so this is the future. So what is the solution to a fox that smash DIs up on our up air to regrab combo?
I guess you just press up air instead of grab is like the initial thought. The problem with that is that it allows them to continually smash DI up air over and over again. And if they're doing that, then I probably need to start comboing into an edge guard situation faster. So maybe like press forward air into forward smash or something instead of trying to go for a bunch of up airs in a row.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So like, let's take a look at this. Like, let's take a look at that up throw up air that you get over here. I think it's yeah, it should be coming up soon. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a liar.
It's the pivot. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it happened earlier, but it'll probably come up again. But I think that. So what does his DI input have to be if he's doing that smash DI?
Probably straight up, or like up and tilted a bit. But he's probably not going to be getting like a full sideways DI.
Yeah, so like the weakness of forward air, which is normally that you can like hold out on it. The smash DI up input, it kind of like puts him into it's kind of like not what you want against. It's not what you want against that at all.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'd kind of bring up that I'd also point out is we were looking at like Nair as a possible like punish extension in some of the mid % stuff on Pokemon Stadium. Like that could also be really good here for certain ranges, just because you have a chunky hit, he's DIing it up, like that could probably lead to spikes or tippers at certain % ranges. So yeah, like I think that DI okay, that was just a mistake. I feel like DI manipulation needs to be something that we investigate a little bit more. Especially if something goes wrong like 1 or 2 times.
I've been thinking a lot about DI manipulation in terms of tech chasing recently, mixing up between forward throw and back throw depending on where I'm expecting to try to DI an up throw, because that's usually what they're thinking about.
Yeah.
And that's definitely been helpful, but I had not thought about it at all in terms of FD combos there, like with like forward air versus up air. I have thought about it in terms of hitting up air into down air versus forward air into down air in the corner if they're trying to like hold out versus in. But not in center stage. I hadn't thought about it yet.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to be clear. Like I don't think that's like terribly surprising because specifically because it's FD. I think that with FD, there's a temptation sometimes, or like a trap we can fall into, where we think that our things just work here because there's no platform interference. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the reality is this is just like any other level in this game where there's still tons of defense available. Like I saw you there, you did like a really weak up air, Because yeah, like if you go for like the strong up air there, then there's no way you get anything good after it with how he's been DIing. So like the weak up air there, in my opinion, is a really savvy choice. So it's
full disclosure, I think that was a mistake. The weak up air.
Sure.
I have a really hard time hitting tipper up air on that specific DI.
Okay. So like what would tipper up air give us though? Like.
No, I think the weak up air is good there. I think, but I don't think I did it intentionally. Is what I'm saying.
Ah, okay. If he had like DI'd this like normally, like not like just without the smash DI, he's probably what, like around here where the mouse is?
At this exact percent, the weak up air often does lead into grab anyway. So it's like a forgivable mistake, I think.
If it leads to up air, if it leads to regrab anyway, like why don't we just do that one?
Because it feels less reliable because there's less hit stun on it. When I say it leads to grab anyway, I'm not certain that it's not escapable. I just think foxes aren't reacting and then like doing counterplay when they get hit by it. I think they're kind of just like letting themselves get grabbed.
Sure, but there's counterplay to like the powerful up air too, like the sweet spot up air too. So maybe that could just be like maybe that could be the baseline for the mix up because it's like something. It could be. Yeah, like they're two things. They look very similar to each other. They both kind of do like accomplish the same goal. They like address different DI inputs, like different discrete DI inputs and reactions from the fox. Like that sounds good to me. It's kind of everything you want in a mix-up.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true.
So yeah, so in terms of this, like that, okay. So I like how you're doing I liked how you were doing your fairs and down tilts there because it's like a little bit more, it feels more purposeful instead of just trying to like follow along what he's doing. Instead of just like trying to like hit him vaguely, they're clearly just meant to defend your space. And I think that's kind of like, that's really like that fair, that dash dance, like you're not really trying to contest him, you're just controlling your zone. And I think that's something we can definitely work on, like how we can take space as well. But at the end of the day, like if Fox wants to, I see what you mean now with that with the weak up air. Yeah. But I think that at the end of the day, like if Fox wants to be the aggressor in this matchup, we kind of have to like just kind of like respect that somewhat. And this guy is like very willing to engage us.
Yeah, he's definitely a hold W kind of fox.
Yeah. It's just like there's only one way I'm going, and it's forward. That choice to dash attack there was really, really, really smart though, because like, yeah, he was stuttered with his walk, so then he's tried to back up, so then you overshot him and got the grab. Perfect. Love that. So. Again, imagine if we had just, like, you get the kill, but, like, imagine how clean this is if we know he's holding in anyway, because he is. If we just, like, fair there. Like, you still get...
Like, you mean on the first up air?
Yeah, like, well, okay, so on this one... Yeah, on this one.
Yeah.
Now, you still get the kill. I still think you did a great job with it. I just think you could have gone one, like, move earlier. But yeah. I think your combo was great. I think it was a good choice. But it's again reinforcing the idea that there are a lot more mix-up opportunities in these spots. One other thing to consider, by him being at less damage when you go for that fair, as long as the fair knocked him over, it's actually an easier, like it's less likely that he's able to like slip off in the corner. So you can you can like put him like if the bad outcome is we knock him into the corner, but not onto the ledge. With a tech chase, like that is like so money. Like if that's the bad outcome, like we're thrilled. Yeah.
No, that's true. I've been kind of like up air pilled for a really long time in this matchup, and I think forward air is actually really, really good. And I'm trying to work it more into my game. And you're seeing me do like some of the stuff that I've been thinking about, like here, like doing forward airs here. But it's definitely. I need to be doing even more forward air for sure.
Well, here's the thing that I noticed. So like this is great, and I love this. I love the choice of this one. I think this one's great as well. My thinking here is, what if we do the Is there ever an argument for strong hit fair to look for the spike? Or actually, no. You can probably just do it like you can probably just spike him out of this, can't you?
So in this situation, his double jump is gone. So I'm thinking exclusively about either hitting him with a strong move immediately in that spot, which would probably be up B, or hitting fair forward smash, which is to punish the DIN.
Gotcha.
And I think both of them should kill.
Yeah, I forgot that he lost his jump. That's on me. So no, knowing that he doesn't have his jump, yeah, this is perfect. This is totally fine. Yeah, for some reason I thought he still had it, so I was thinking like D-tilt to push him lower or spike to kill. But yeah, no, that's just a good heads up. I think that what we have here is like not so much volatility in terms of mentality or anything. I think that this is just like an in-match adaptation to somebody having good defense. Like that's the vibe I get from this. I don't really see anything glaringly bad here in terms of like, if anything, I actually think that you like held it together really well to have the presence of mind to like come back from that. Would you say that the last match is the really, really wacky one though?
Yeah, the last match was definitely wacky.
Let's look at the last match then, because I think that we're gonna have more to like work on with this one. But yeah, no, like if anything, what I would say about those two matches we just saw, trust your instincts and be willing to be creative when things aren't working, because I think that you have a lot better ideas than you think you do. And I think that sometimes you have like do you ever like see something not work out the way you wanted to, and then you're like, okay, cool, I know what I'm supposed to do about this, and then you do the same thing anyway?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what I'm gonna challenge you with is, if you have a wacky idea on that will solve a problem, be more willing to do that wacky idea, because the standard things are good because they generally work against most inputs, but not all of them. And because of that, like a lot of what we bias our defense, like our modern defense towards, is the exception cases that are good versus those like those like the inputs not like they're good versus the standard things, because they've just been this game's been around for long enough that we have standard things on like for the top tiers. We know like generally what they're gonna do. So if the opponent is like playing really hard and committing a lot of their attention and effort into like beating certain things, because Smash is hard. If they're doing that, punish them. Like do something else. Don't be afraid to order off the menu, so to speak. Because yeah, like that's kind of how like that's how Mango's been good for like such a long time. It's part of why Moki's so good. It's part of why Zane's so good. Like they're willing to just kind of like do the things that deal with the situation and just say, you know what, this'll work. Like I don't like it, just will, because I know my stuff. This is fine.
That's definitely an issue I would say that I have in my gameplay, is that I feel like I perform really well when I have a complete understanding of the mix-ups that are happening, what it's supposed to look like when I'm like dealing with each of the different options that they have, et cetera, et cetera. And then in terms of like dealing with like unseen situations, sometimes I will have like an unconscious reaction and I'll just do something that's really good in that spot, like you're talking about. But a lot of the time, I'll kind of just get like hyper focused on like, oh, this is what I should be doing right now, and I kind of just do that thing over and over and over again until I lose. And I'm not sure how to get myself to make those like creative decisions consistently.
Well, what you described in the first part as being perfect, like complete understanding, your execution's flawless, you can hit all your stuff. Yeah, like if I'm perfect too, I will hit all my things. But I think that's kind of the trap, isn't it? Right? Because I think the impression I get from you is you're very there's a certain comfort you take in a comprehensive understanding, and that's good. That's good. But I think that like at some point we need to also understand, it's kind of like when you learn any discipline, right? Like the more you learn about it, the more you realize you don't know about it. So I think instead of being afraid of that, lack of like not knowing things, what I think a more like there has to be a way that we can turn that because you know your stuff. Like you adapted really well in that second FD game, and if you had not done that, you would have lost. So how did you know to start switching to the fair push combos and the nair push combos? How did you know to do that?
I just know that they're good on DIN, and I thought that he was going to DIN in those spots.
Right. So
Or
you
I guess honestly, now that I'm really thinking about it, I mean the last one I think is a classic DIN situation where he's lost his jump, and he's like up on last stock, and like most people are gonna DIN because they just don't want to die to something silly. It's like an emotional response DIN. I think the other ones might have worked partly because he might have been hyper focusing on the SDI on the up airs. So when I do like the Nair, for example, I think it comboed really well because of that.
Right. So what I'm going to point out is you applied your understanding to a player who you don't know perfectly, but you have experience against, and you used that to come up with a solution that you could apply. And if what do you think you would have done if the what do you think you would have done if your solution didn't work?
What do you mean?
Well, so like let's say he DIs away from the fair, like from the second fair, and he just, I don't know, somehow makes it back. Like somehow like has the craziest recovery of all time to make it back. Like what do you think, how do you think you would walk away from that situation? Like do you think that do you think that it would speak poorly of you, or like indicate something wrong in your understanding of that situation because it didn't work out, or like how do you think you would take that loss?
I think it's complicated. I think it's certainly possible to do the quote-unquote right thing and still lose. But there's a part of me that says that because this is like a human game, and theoretically I can understand what he's going to do based on the things that he's already done, like the data that I have him in as a player, I would say that that might be considered a mistake in that sense.
Sure. But
So
it's just like, but we make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes all the time, though. So
for sure,
it's not like it's gonna ruin your day or like cause you like, well, maybe like your day, but like not your next day, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's rare that a loss sticks with me for more than like 30 minutes, I would say.
Okay, so there you go. So what I'm getting at here is, I think that rather than viewing a perfect understanding or like a complete knowledge base as something as something achievable, like, oh my god, that was fire. Okay, yeah, you're playing so well this last stock. I think that what we need to do is we need to reframe it as an ongoing process, but one that shouldn't stop us from having confidence in our own ideas. Because
that makes sense.
Yeah, like, because I guess like a lot of the answers you're coming up with will be in the textbook, but many of them will not, and that's okay. Because this is a very complicated game with lots of different positions, and the positions are dynamic because we can just toggle some percent, and then the best move changes. Everything else about the match can be in the exact same spot, but we just changed something 10%, and now the best move is different.
Yep.
So because of that, we're never gonna have like the fully comprehensive knowledge base that we know that like gives us the right answer, and that's okay. Because really, what's the more important thing is to understand that these are the things that like it's more important to have like have a framework for decision making, and what you demonstrated with how you've modified your combos this game and the second FD game is that you know that, because yeah, you are punishing him for holding in. You're also using working the human side of the equation too. I think that F smash was a really good call because it created a knockdown. It's a powerful hit that. It's a powerful, spooky hit that creates a knockdown against somebody who was just up 4-1. Like, that, to me, is a good call. If anything, I'm surprised we didn't go for it again. Like, when he misses this dash attack, my instinct is tipper him.
Yeah, I think this is an example of kind of what I was talking about, where, like, sometimes I'm kind of anti-clutch in these spots. Like, I feel like I was really clutch for those really like 2 stocks, because the first stock I kind of took was like he just kind of like ran into my nair and then died.
Yeah, he was at 160 and he like got naired. It's cool, it happens.
Yeah, but then I like basically zeroed to death him twice, and I feel like that was really clutch. And then this whole last stock I actually don't feel super good about. Like, I do agree that the first forward smash is good, but then he gets like a weird slide off the ledge kind of situation, and it doesn't work out super well for me. And then from that point on, I feel like I'm kind of flailing, and I think that's why I lost the game. Yeah, I think that this was totally my game to win, even though I'm at like 100 or something on my last stock because of the fact that he's going to be terrified in this spot. Like any fox who just like was up 4-1 and is now on last stock is going to be terrified against a Marth.
Unless the opponent is playing like Sheik or Peach or something, like 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 Marth at 100 on Yoshi's story on going into your last stock is terrifying.
Yep. So I definitely feel like I could have won this, but I feel like the reason why I did not is because of whatever is causing me to like hesitate in these situations and kind of freeze up and be a bit anti-clutch.
I'm curious. So was this supposed to be a strong hit fair?
I honestly don't remember. This whole game is a little bit of a blur to me.
So like the double fair here is like totally fine. I might have just done like falling fair on the second one because I think you still clip the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd
I think
have.
it's probably supposed to be fair down air, and then I just accidentally hit fair, and then he jumped into it, and it kind of worked out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I was thinking for fair down air, like I think that if you full hopped it, it would like it works a little bit better because I think the full hop here pushes him forward, and then you can like kind of like fall on him with the second one because you can do this while rising more.
Yeah.
So
that scares me a little bit on Yoshi's, but I think it probably still works.
Yeah, it's just like a small thing. Like again, your sequence was your sequence was good, so I don't want the takeaway to be like, oh yeah, like let's optimize this. No, it's just like a small note. What I'm noticing though is that you're like focusing on the hits that will get you back into this, and you're punishing him, like you're calling out his. It's interesting because he hasn't really held away so all that much yet, but at the same time, like from previous games, I bet you've probably punished him for holding in a bit more. So this might be like an adjustment to his DI because like getting him to like pushing him off stage here, that would absolutely be like a way that you could combat that if he makes a small adjustment. So yeah, but either way though, like these routes are good. Was this intentionally hitting him on like? I feel like you hit him on a weird side for slide off, and that's why it didn't work. Was that? Because you know what I mean? Like the up air seems to hit him in a really weird way. Am I crazy for thinking that?
I think it's that it hits him so early.
Yeah.
Like it hits him before he gets to the edge.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. That's like that was weird, but like that was so sick. And then then this is gold. And now what happens here? So let's see what you so previously you like had a good sense of like where he was going, where he was, how to like use, what hits matter. So what happens here? So we go for this nair, okay. We're shielding a lot more. Like we're not going like he's been in front of us a number of times and we haven't even like tried to grab him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'm looking for him to either go for up smash here, like as a read because he wants the game to be over, or jab up smash, like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And like I said, at this point, I feel like a little bit like I'm flailing. I don't feel like the shields here are an attempt to win the game. I think the shields are. I know he's looking for jab up smash or up smash. I'm gonna press the thing that makes me not die to that. Even though I don't necessarily see a path to winning based off of that play.
Well, the other thing I'd kind of comment on is I don't even think it's like a jab up smash. I don't think it's an up smash that even wins him the game. Like,
no, it's a backer, yeah.
Yeah, so we have like kind of tunnel visioned on a move that he does one time. And I think that's really like the real tragedy here. Like we're playing around things that are not happening. Like even that dash attack there, like that's not one of the two things that our shield deals with. Like you could still get down air out of shield on that kind of dash attack, but I don't think you can like grab it or get like the moves we want. So I think that there's an assumption being made about where he's at that might not necessarily, because he actually holds it together really well here, I think. Because like after that first like really really bad up smash he goes for, I don't really think he does anything too bad. You know what I mean? Like this all makes sense. This is all good. He doesn't get hit by the down tilt. He looks for the jabs, cool, but they're not like unsafe on whiff in that kind of position. So then he's like looking around, he's baiting. He goes for that. But he goes for it in a spot where it's like, this is one of the safer spots he can go for it because you're in the corner. Yeah. So like it pushes you onto the ledge. Like I think he's actually just playing this really well. And I think that with I think that like, yeah, this is an expectation thing because we've watered down our play, but he hasn't even gone for the thing that we're like thinking he's going to go for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So so I think it's okay to like to accept that players are likely to have certain habits or tendencies in these tense moments. But what's a way that we can have that awareness without assuming that they'll have that awareness? Like, how can we like restructure like how we look at this situation? Because I think that's really the key. We're just looking at it like too definitively.
I feel like maybe one way to do it would be to identify a strategy that works against that option that I'm looking for, but to not only be looking for that option. So in this case, like if I think he's going to try to hit me with an up smash read, I can probably beat that with movement. Because I feel like in this matchup, up smash is kind of a call out on jumping usually, because when you jump, you're kind of like in the same spot for a while, and like you mentioned earlier with like the high-low mix-up on fair, because usually you're jumping with fair. You can definitely jump with nair as well, but even nair is kind of like often it'll trade with up smash, which is definitely not what you want here.
I have a simpler way to describe it that I'm going to share with you for that jumping thing. So jumps have startup time and end lag. Because you have the jump squat, which is technically up smashable, like not on reaction or something, but it is a vulnerability window that someone can slot in a kill move if they know you're going to do it. Similarly, they have landing lag. So there's when people jump, there's a spot at the beginning and a spot at the end, and sometimes in between if we get platforms and stuff involved. But like, there's a spot at least at the beginning and end where they are susceptible to the thing, plus the amount of time they're rising that they're also susceptible to the thing, and when they're falling into its range. So absolutely, I think structurally jumping does not make a ton of sense for like our starting point here. I think movement's a great call. How can we be more flexible with that?
So with movement, because I'm able to watch him and move at the same time, I can position my dash dance so that it's hard for him to hit me with the kill move that I think he's looking for. Yeah. But at the same time, because I'm not committing myself to lag, and because I'm not assuming that's the only thing he'll go for, I'm not opening myself up to like full hop back air, for example, which is the thing that kills me in the end.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm going to point out here is, like, we just talked at length about how we're super spooky, we're super, like, uncomfortable with the idea of him, like, up smashing us, and then we are, like, jumping, like, 6 times in a row, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, I think what we're getting at is the problem with these, like, assuming that the opponent is going to choke or assuming the opponent is going to do something is that a lot of times, like, the way that our mind rotates us through different scenarios that it might be, as it's trying to, like, make its prediction about where the opponent is at true, like, as it kind of doubles down on it, we wind up getting into play patterns that are really, really risky because they don't really respond effectively to what the opponent is actually doing. I'm not saying jumping there is, like, the worst thing ever, but I am saying that, like, doing it, like, so many times in a row against, like, when Fox is on the edge, that is pretty sketchy. Like, 1, 2...
No, I agree, yeah. These are, like, borderline, especially for a box player, borderline just, like, ledge dash up smashable. I think it's, like, somewhat decently spaced, but I think it's possible.
You know what? And the thing is, I think you're, like, right on the border. Like, your spacing was good. But, like, we are opening so much risk, and what do you even get for that jump?
Yeah, not really much. Like, the dream is, like, fair and then, like, read his defense and then get a grab off of it, but you could just be dash dance grabbing, and it's almost the same thing anyway.
Exactly. So we're pigeonholing our game plan when we do that, and it's just, you're really like I think that picking up on the things that are happening on the screen is actually one of your strengths. And when we predict, because we see that victory because we make an assumption and see victory within our grasp, we're like taking away one of your most one of your specific player skills. So I think that really we need a way to snap ourselves out of this. Okay. Because the ideas behind like we'll dash dance, we'll do better plays, all of that works. But I think that when we get into these, like you're the one who's sitting down here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're the one who jumps, I feel like, yeah, you got, I don't know. I feel like you're not, let me watch this in like real speed, but like, I feel like the body language is not happy.
Yeah, I was pretty frustrated that I lost this in the end.
Yeah.
The way that I felt after the set was like I kind of threw the first 2 games by not being able to punish him. And then I played well for games 3 and 4, and I punished him well, and I like adapted to his ideas. And then in game 5, I felt like I kind of just flailed around for most of the game and let him hit me. And then I played really well on my last stock, and then I like kind of threw it at the end. That's how I felt. I'm not saying that's actually what happened. I'm just saying like that's the emotional response that I had to the game.
Yeah, and I think that like when you got the first 2, like when you got killed here, like, so what's going on here? Like what's going on this stock on the first 2 on his. Yeah, the first kills he gets on you, like, what's going on with these?
I think I just put myself in spots where he's able to read me for a kill in ways that he's read me for a kill in the past. Like there, I did not need to go to ledge there. I also didn't need to up B instantly. That's a bad habit of mine, I think. Where
I think you still had your jump, too.
I did, yeah. That was like I have this like panic response when I get shined and I fail to do the slide up to ledge from the shine. Where I just like up B immediately because I'm like, oh, I have to fix this right now, like before they get to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And then there I get shined on my fair because I hesitate off of ledge.
Gotcha. So he's rushing us. He's basically rushing us down, and we're hesitating, or we're like we're panic buttoning. And then I noticed
he's just reading me really well here, I think.
And I noticed we don't spend any time to like collect ourselves on the angel platform or anything like that, even though we've just died twice, like in 10 seconds.
Yep.
So let's assume that when we get hit, so what are you feeling in this match like at this point? Like, is it just like, are we frustrated?
Definitely frustration, but I know that it's not over, so I'm trying to kind of keep it together and continue to play the game.
Okay. So here's a thought. If we have to put time, like if we have to dedicate attention into keeping us together, that's probably attention we're not dedicating to our opponent, is it?
Yes, for sure.
So, if we notice, how good are you at noticing that that's happening?
That I'm having to spend attention on keeping myself together.
Yeah.
That's actually a really interesting question because this actually kind of leads into something that I experienced at BOBC. When I was playing at BOBC, I felt like during the whole day, like I was playing well and I wasn't nervous, and I was like, oh, I'm really happy about this because I feel like I'm playing well at a major. Because it's been a real struggle for me to perform at bigger tournaments for a while. Mm-hmm. I think I've definitely gotten a lot better at it recently, but often I've had this problem where I just kind of feel really, really nervous. And last year I actually had a really awful tournament where I like went 1 and 2 because of that. I just played like some of the worst melee of my life, and it was really frustrating. All this to say that when I was playing at BODC, I didn't really feel super nervous, and I was happy about that. But when I actually look at the sets that I played, I look really nervous, and I do some things that are really, really silly, like over and over again. Just bad double jumps and like terrible aerial spacing, like really silly flubs, which are things that you would see somebody do when they're making mistakes due to being extremely nervous. So all this to say that when I'm in these situations, I usually don't feel like I'm nervous or like I'm choking or anything like that. Like those thoughts don't run through my head. But when I play back the tape and I look at the things that I'm doing, I'm like, wow, I would never make this mistake if I was like playing well and not under stress. Like I'm definitely under stress. I'm just like somehow suppressing it, I think.
Okay, so let me ask you, because this is stress, but it's suppressed. But suppressed. So, here's my question. Why is it that you think that you won't make these mistakes if you're playing with composure?
So it's hard for me to talk about it with this game in particular. I could try to find the stiv set if you want to see the things that I was doing. They're like really crazy errors. Like it's not as simple as just like missing a ledge dash or like dropping an L cancel or like
what kind of error? What kind? Give me like I've played this game for 20 years. Like what error are we talking? Like what was the worst error you made in that set? Or like what's a really bad one that's like haunting you?
I seem to remember doing like some really weird like double jump aerials in like spots that make no sense. Like just completely like not even like looking at the spacing.
Is it possible that you were just under pressure from the opponent?
For sure, but I didn't really feel like he was pressuring me that much either. I actually felt like he mostly just played really solidly, stayed grounded, and then waited for me to make mistakes. I didn't feel like he was really like rushing me down or putting me in a spot where I had to like putting me in unfamiliar spots. Didn't really feel like he was doing that either.
Okay, let's take a look at one of those stiv moments. Is he the other player you played, or is it the other set that you were talking about, or like how? Because I want to see one of those weird double jumps.
Let me find this set real quick.
Sure.
Let's go underneath the notes. Okay. It was played on the quad stream.
Okay. How did you? What did you ultimately place at BOBC?
49th. Which actually was outplacing my seed. I was seated somewhere in like the 65th place bracket.
Okay. Nice. So you would okay. So you would have been around where Marth finished. Because I think.
Yeah. I think he might have outplaced me by like 1. I think he made it out of his pool in winners. I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, I think he got 25th or 33rd, something like that. So it would have been like around. Yeah, it would have been like in that area. I think he got 33rd.
Okay, I found the set. So I will link it to you. I haven't looked through it recently enough to point you to an exact moment, but if we look through
video
here,
like over back when I was making YouTube videos over COVID about like the dearth that are.
Okay, so it's down here.
Mhm.
Okay. So, and you're saying that you played badly here, or like, so what's the
Yeah. Like I said, I felt like I was playing well, and emotionally at the time, I thought like, oh, I'm not playing bad. Like I might actually like win this. But then when I was watching it back, I remember thinking like, oh, that's crazy. Like I must have been nervous because I don't think I would make that mistake otherwise.
Why can't you just make a mistake because you made a mistake? Why does it have to be deeper?
I think that some mistakes are like that. Like I said, like I think you can miss an L cancel or you can miss a ledge dash. Like there's tons of things that can just happen because the game is hard and you're doing a lot of difficult things. But I think when you make egregious errors, there's usually some type of reason behind it.
What would you consider forward smashing Ice Climber's shield? As chic. In wobbling meta.
In wobbling meta? I mean, that sounds kind of troll, but I don't really play either character, so maybe there's like situations where it's fine.
I meant to forward tilt.
I see.
So, was I nervous, or did I just like hit forward on the stick too far?
So, when you do that does seem to me like a nerves issue, and the reason why I say that is because in order to forward tilt, you either have to precisely tilt the stick and press A, or you have to full tilt the stick and then wait a little bit and press A afterwards. So when you get the forward smash instead of the forward tilt, the first thing that I would be thinking of is maybe I pressed A too quickly because of the fact that I felt pressured to hit them earlier or something like that.
Okay, right, but like what I'm saying is like, I think I was on offense, so I think it was after like I was doing like fair into forward tilt. Yeah. So like I was trying to do fair into forward tilt because Nana was at like Nana was at like higher damage, and then like ICs are at and the Popo was at like knockdown percent, so I figured okay, yeah, I'll just like get the kill. But then I accidentally forward smashed and lost the match.
Yeah.
So I guess you could make the argument that I am nervous, but it could also just be that I messed up a forward tilt.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that like I was actually too nervous in that game because I fought Nintendo a bunch of times at that point. I didn't think I was gonna win that. I didn't think I was going to win, but I wanted to do my best. And the game was going pretty well. Like I felt good, but then it just happened to not go my way at the end. So I guess what the next thing we get to is what makes an error egregious, and what value are we getting by understanding how bad a mistake was?
So, in my mind, an understandable error is something where you are either following the game plan that makes sense. Like there's a reason behind what you were trying to do, and like it was a reasonable choice to make. You just either like pressed a button slightly wrong, or like whatever it is. Like the game is difficult, so we're gonna make mechanical errors from time to time. Nobody's perfect.
Sure.
An egregious error to me is something that either doesn't have a logical thought process behind it, or is just like really, really far away from being something that could have worked at all. Like even if you hadn't messed up mechanically, like this still wouldn't have been good. And
Okay.
There's no like reason for you to think that it would have been good, if that makes sense.
Okay, but like in the heat of the moment, like during an actual match, I think that we can understand that like the standards that we are the standards that we can hold ourselves to, for our ability to make those like decisions, is very different when we're in the match and actually playing versus when we're analyzing later. Because when we're analyzing later, we have the safety and comfort of not having someone trying to kill us on the screen with us, because like the fight is over, no one's there. So in the match, is there perhaps a logic to understanding that given the shortened time frame to make these decisions and the higher stakes of the match and the heightened pressure from the opponent like trying to like exert their game on us, maybe we need to consider that as a like form of standard error even.
I agree.
So like if that's the case, is it really an egregious error?
So I think maybe when I say egregious, you might be assigning something to it that I am not, because in my mind, what I'm thinking is basically what you just described. Like I'm saying, I guess maybe the disconnect is that I said that I felt like this was the result of nerves and therefore like proof that I was like playing really badly or something.
Yeah.
But I guess you could also rephrase that as, like I just felt pressured in the moment and therefore like made a mistake that I wouldn't otherwise make. But to me, that's like the same thing. I guess.
Fair enough. So what I notice from watching you here is that the play is not perfect. Like, fair enough. But what I am noticing is that you're not afraid to contest the Sheik. Like, you're looking for good, like, sources of advantage. You are playing your game plan. It might not be enough to beat her this time, but you are going for the things you need. You're hitting your slide offs. You're fighting her. You are fighting her in the way that you know how, and doing the best that you can, and you're not afraid to make adjustments. I think, you're not afraid to interact with what she is doing, or the game state. Like you're playing with her, and I feel like at that that was beautiful. That down throw up tilt was actually like sick.
I felt really good about that.
Yeah, as you should. That was a really good play. But what I don't get this from the same vibe from your last stock, against the Fox player. Because I think even though like we got put on the back foot here and we kind of got like pressured out at the very end, you're still challenging her. You're still doing everything you can to survive. Like you get when you get thrown here, you see the fly guys and you're just like, okay, yeah, work with that. And I think that I think you even tried to make the recovery at the end ambiguous because you almost make it back. So
yeah, it was supposed to be an up B, and I pressed side B. That's an error that I've been making recently.
Gotcha. But you still tried to do something with the after, though, from the looks of it. So, to me, the reason I think you probably felt like you played well here is because you were trying the entire time. There was never a moment where you really, like, just were like, okay, yeah, it's over. Like, until it said game, you were still fighting.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that is the energy we need to capture with, like, really, that's really what we need in the other set. We need to not slack just because of a deficit, because we've won 2 games straight, because something bad's gone on. I actually think, if we go back, did that happen? Or did you get right back into it? I think you might have even, like, spent a second on the Angel platform, possibly. I'm not sure. Okay, no. So you did go back in right away. Can you...
I usually go back in right away, but sometimes I do take a moment.
So let me ask you. So even if the play isn't completely... Because the overall play, I imagine, from this set to the one that we just watched, it's probably similar. It's probably better here, but compared to the other one. But, like, it's still probably within range just because you have such high highs in the other set. But can you tell that when you're trying to, like, still win the interactions you can, you're doing everything you can to stay in it, can you tell that there is a difference in how you are looking at the screen? Something tangible about how you are experiencing the game compared to the Fox set? Like the very...
Yeah, for sure.
So what is that difference? Like, if you had to describe it to me, what is it? Like, are you more aware of the percents? Does the game feel faster? Like, do you feel more engaged, like locked in? Like, what's different?
I definitely feel more locked in. I think I feel more like I'm kind of just, like, paying attention to them, and it's not really that I'm looking at percents more. I still feel like I'm kind of doing that by feel most of the time. Like, I do look at percents when I have a moment too, but
okay.
But I usually feel like I play more based on, like, oh, I know that he was at 0, and now I've hit him with these moves, therefore he will be at this percent. Like, I feel like that's more how I compute percents than by actually looking at it most of the time.
Sure. I know we're over time, but I don't care because this is like important. When you said that you're more aware of what, like, you're more locked in, you're more aware of, like, them, what do you mean by that? Like, where is your focus? Is it more like what isn't in your focus? Because you mentioned that you noticed you have to keep it together in the Fox set when you were getting frustrated. When you said that you had to keep it together. When that happens, what is the experience of having to keep it together? Like, what changes what changes or gets added to, like, how you're processing and acting and, like, doing the game?
So real quick, in reference to the time thing, I was thinking we were going to do an hour and a half, but if you don't have time for that, that's totally fine.
Oh, if we have an hour and a half, then we're good. We all good. Yeah. So I thought we had an hour, but no, yeah, that was an assumption on me. That's my bad.
Okay, no worries then. In reference to the question you asked, I think, so the emotional experience of the two for me is when I'm locked in, I'm really paying attention to the things that they're doing. I'm aiming my moves instead of doing them aimlessly. Because I definitely feel like sometimes melee players just, like, throw out moves because they know that they're supposed to throw out moves, but they're not actually really paying attention to their opponent and, like, trying to aim the moves to hit the opponent based on what the opponent's going to do. But kind of just like, oh, Nair is really good against this character, so I'm just going to press Nair. And I catch myself doing that sometimes when I'm under pressure probably because part of my brain is taken up thinking about how I'm under pressure and trying to, like, suppress that and, like, you know, trying to keep it together and not make errors and all that stuff. So I definitely feel like sometimes it almost feels like my eyes glaze over a little bit. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, I need a shield here. I really need to not get hit by this. I'm just going to press shield, you know, and it's, like, very... I don't think my hands actually, like, clench or anything, but it's like an emotional white knuckle feel almost.
Emotional white knuckle feel. So eyes glaze over, so that's great. Eyes glaze over, and then we have emotional white knuckle. I love that. I'm stealing that. I'm going to use that going further. How good are you at telling, at like picking up that you have the emotional white knuckle feeling?
I think I'm pretty good at it.
So, then, and how would you say that you have it in this moment right now in this match, having just been killed out of a ledge hop fair by Running Shine?
Ooh. I'm not sure actually. I think I definitely have it on last stock when I'm about to close the game.
Okay.
And I think that's why I'm doing all the shields and stuff. But during the game, I don't remember as much.
I feel like this is similar. It might be hotter because we still have the shields, but we're having more attacks coming out. And like we still have the shields. Like I think you have it here. I think it might be a little spicier, but I think you definitely have it.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I think I was definitely frustrated at myself at this moment in this game. I don't remember it, but I'm extrapolating from like who I am as a person because of the way that I got shined twice off of recoveries that I know already that I shouldn't be doing. Or not that I shouldn't be doing them at all, but that they're like an exploitable bad habit of mine that Glasper almost certainly is like consciously reading.
Okay, so what we need to do is when we notice this happening, this is when like we need to like use this to get some peace. Like if you on stage, you still need to find a way to use it to like get some peace. Ledge stalling can be good. Dashing away while taking a deep breath can be good, but like we need to get out of this because once you're in this, like the only thing that has the power to snap you out of this from this game, from your gameplay's natural processes that I've seen so far is when you're down 4-1, and that is not a reasonable like ask for you to be able for winning. Like that's just Like I will play to my game plan when I'm down 4-1. No, like we need to break this sooner.
Yeah.
So let's try to draw a bridge between what happens here and like see if there's any parallels with that set versus the Sheik player. So I noticed that you come down from the platform right away. We're still getting the swings. He runs into that nair. I think would you say that it's actually this is the point where you start like playing better?
Yeah, probably actually. And it's also the only moments in the game that I've allowed myself to have a break. And it's not even me allowing it, it's just I killed him finally.
Yeah. Honestly, that's probably what it is. Because he's dead, you have to pause. Yeah. Because there's nothing else to do here. And that single pause is enough to let you kill him twice and have a chance.
So actually, instead of looking at the Sheik game, I do have the Slippy file for the second set that I played with him on Monday.
Yeah, let's look at that.
This is the Pokemon game where I almost reverse stock him here. I'm curious to see if something similar happens.
Yeah, let's honestly, we have a good piece of data here. Let's look at the next set and see what happens, because I think there's going to be something. I would bet $1 that there is going to be, or like a bubble tea or something, that there's going to be something similar that happens at the end. We'll watch the game in normal speed up to the last stock. Actually, we'll just watch it through like once, and then to just get a sense for what happened, and then we'll break down the last stock, because I think that's where we're gonna get all the money, all the good stuff. So right now, he just looks like he's on point. Like nothing really glaring in terms of like this. Now we're like, yeah, this feels like we're now getting into like the tunnel visioning stuff, like with those dash dances under the platform. I think that one of the things I notice about your movement, you tend to like work in really small units, but like, how do you feel about run cancel, like running crouch?
So, I like it theoretically. I'm not very good at actually doing it, and the big problem that I have with doing it is that when I do it, I do it kind of slowly because I do run, crouch, then dash dance grab. I don't do run, crouch, and then grab like backwards out of the crouch.
Oh, wait a minute. You do run, crouch, dash. That's lots of people do it that way. That's fine.
Okay. Well, then I do it, but I guess necessarily against Glasper. Glasper, I think, doesn't really give me... maybe he does give me... I feel like when I'm playing well against Glasper, I'm more just dash dance grabbing his stuff, though. I feel like I'm grabbing him at the inside of his overshoot, like before his move comes out, as opposed to grabbing him after his move whiffs, because I feel like he's definitely an overshooter.
So what I would say about run crouch, anytime you wave dash forward, you could have done like that. Look at that. Then you do it here. And then you're able to like change where your dash dance position is. And then you get the grab. So this is what I mean. Like, if you have time to wave dash, you have time to do the run crouch. Because they take, like, I think one of them takes one more frame. Running crouch, I think, takes one more frame if you do it perfectly. And you are also actionable the entire time you're moving forward. So it's a more flex... Like, look at it. Like, look at this. Like, you just come all the way forward. Sometimes it works. And then you're, you know... Nice, okay. It is the same dynamic as the other game. This is, like, frighteningly similar.
Yeah.
Honestly, okay, you're gonna get the kill here because, duh. I was so tempted to just tipper him again.
Yeah. No, I think I definitely could have reacted to this with tipper.
Do you think that what you did is better than tipper, or do you think that the tipper's better? Like, it's close, right? Because like you do, like the grab the grab I feel like is the better play. I feel like the tipper's like just funnier, or like more style points. But like this is probably just better.
I think this is more controlled. I think the tipper is interesting, right? Because they're at a low enough percent that if they DI it well, the situation's probably not as good as getting the grab in the corner. But there's still totally the opportunity for them to just like do something silly, and then now they're just instantly exploded as well. And then there's a certain amount of emotional damage that comes with getting tippered as well too, which is probably worth thinking about. But I think you might get that emotional damage from F throw down tilt too sometimes, especially if you get the stock.
I mean, yeah, like getting tippered and then like losing your stock to like a Marth grab is like definitely something that I would consider like somewhat tilting as a Fox player.
For sure.
Honestly, I don't get the same vibe from you here. I feel like you're actually fighting him. Like, you're fighting well. You just messed up at the end. But like, you like, if there is a point at which you start doing it, it's after you finish the combo.
Yeah, I think. So the one error that I really identified at the end of this game that I want to fix is this forward smash here.
Yeah.
I think when I was doing it, I wasn't even trying to tipper it. I didn't expect it to tipper, and I don't think it's super close to tippering. And I think tipper forward smash is the only forward smash here that's like super reasonable to go for.
Yeah, this feels like a fall through platform fair, right?
Yeah, I think it should have been something to get him into a downer range for sure. And if I wasn't gonna do that, then I think I should have been reading DI away with like up B. It's just stronger.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, my first thought when I saw this was, yeah, the forward smash isn't right, but like, I think everything leading up to this is fine. I would have fall through I think I would have fall through platform fair, just because if he DIs into it, like if he DIs into it, I think he loses, and if he DIs away, then we have an easier edge guard. So it does the things. This I think is where things start becoming sketchy.
Yeah, like the weird platform movement. And now I'm kind of throwing out moves that aren't really close to hitting him, and now I'm going to ledge because for some reason none of it really like none of it's like the locked in like this is how I kill him kind of stuff that I was doing 15 seconds prior. Well,
also look at like the way you're moving around on the stage, right? Like, you're chasing him, like you're following him. When you go into the tunnel vision mode, it feels like you're just kind of like waiting for him to come to you.
Yes. So and that's a Glasper specific thing because of the way that he likes to approach. I definitely am looking pretty heavily for either up smash or running shine, which is a bit of a tunnel.
Right, but like let's look at how you get the hit on the last stock, because like the opening hit, because I feel like you're willing to be aggressive
That's definitely true.
Yeah, so I think what it is when you're... Because I agree there is some defense here, but it's well balanced. When you get into the... When you start to get tilted or, like, start to get antsy, the balance disappears. It becomes all defense. Or it becomes all something. I think that's how it impacts you. Because this is all just, like, hyper safe. It's like, don't make a mistake, don't mess up. But the thing is, mistakes are inevitable. We will never play a perfect game of this game because it's just, like, not doable, right? So with that in mind, I think that what we need to do is we need to, like, get the biggest thing that we need to do is, instead of don't make errors, what's a way that we can approach that more, like, reasonably?
So one thing that I thought about my play, which I think is actually one of my big strengths. Have you ever seen the anime Demon Slayer?
I have not, sadly. But you recommend it though, right?
Yeah, I think it's a cool anime. Animation style is wonderful, for sure. I don't think it's like the best thing ever made or anything, but it's cool. I'd watch it. But anyway, they have this idea, which I think is really cool. The main character is this like swordsman, and when he's fighting an enemy, there's this like moment in the fight where he like understands how to hit them, and the way that he describes it, and they show this visually, is like he sees a string that connects his sword to like their... In order to kill a demon, I think you have to like chop off their head or something, so like to their neck, basically.
Okay.
And so visually, the way that it's structured is like, now that his sword is connected to their neck, like he sees that connection, and then he just like cuts that string, and then like the fight is over. And that emotionally is how it feels when I'm playing well in these spots. I'm just like, I'm identifying like this is like the critical hit that I can get in this spot, and I'm gonna make this read because I have to make this read, otherwise I'm gonna lose anyway. So like I think that's part of where like the courage comes from for me, because I'm like, there's no point in playing safe when I'm down 4-1. Like he's just gonna laser me to 80, and then I'm just fucked, basically.
Yeah.
So I have to go for these reads, and I think I actually am pretty good at going for those reads, especially when I'm forced into it.
You use in-game information very effectively. That is one of your strengths.
Yeah. But then when I get to last stock, now that it's like even, quote unquote, I feel like I go back to trying to be like really risk averse and trying to like avoid all of his threats and like make it really hard for him to hit me and stuff. But I think that's like not actually maybe how I'm winning these games.
No, it isn't. And I think what I would say here is, I don't think is being risk averse the way you want to play. Is like that risk when you describe the two play styles, like being risk averse and just kind of like waiting for the opponent to like mess up so they come over to you, versus, you know, using the being aware of the information and the dynamics of the two characters as they move and fight, and then like figuring out where that string is so that we can sever Fox's head, which will involve some risk. He's a very dangerous opponent, but like figuring out where the line is that we need to slice to like and what risks and steps will be needed to get there. Between the two styles, which one do you connect more with?
Definitely the latter. I definitely view myself more as like an ossified type Marth, as opposed to like I don't know if there really are very many successful Marths who like just play defensively, to be honest.
There aren't any.
Yeah. Even Nisa King, like, who's like the quintessential, like, I don't know, like not really so much of like a heart player. He still just like runs all the way across the stage and tippers you and stuff like that. So
the most impressive thing about Mewtwo King's play is that it was very complete. It was not very it wasn't as perfect as people like described it back in the day, and I think we can all kind of like acknowledge that, but it was complete because there was always a way to beat what the opponent was doing in some way. It might not have been the best solution, but there was always something there. And it might not even have been on that character, because when he ran into challenges that he couldn't overcome by like adding more things that would require him to like fundamentally reshape his entire playstyle, he would pick up a new character. But there was always a solution to whatever challenge was pressing him. And I think that's really the thing that makes him so special, and why he like stayed at such a high level for a very long time. Because there was always a way that he could do it, even if it wasn't the best way to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I think that, and I think that's really the big problem with the hyper-defensive risk-averse Marth, isn't it? Right? Because it's just, it doesn't do enough.
Yeah.
So...
I think...
Yeah.
The one issue that's coming to my mind now is that I can't always be going for critical hits. Because the problem with that is that in order to hit a critical hit, I need data. Like, I'm not just swinging randomly when I'm getting these sequences. I'm noticing the things that they're doing, and I'm adapting to the things that they're doing. And I'm identifying moments where I'm fairly confident that they will do something that I can punish with a crit.
Yeah.
And the problem for me, I guess, then, is being able to do that. Because, like, some opponents are really hard to do that with. Like, I played a set against Lucky at the same tournament that I lost to Glasper to on Sunday. And in game 1, I felt, like, fairly good against him because I hit, like, good punishes. But they weren't really, like... Honestly, he kind of gave me some stuff, too. And then in games 2 and 3, he just, like, annihilated me. Like, I just had no idea how to hit him, basically.
So...
Maybe that's not super worth going into right now, because I guess the answer is just get better and, like, understand. But
No. So what I was going to say is... So, the reason we're doing this right now, like, these kinds of moves, these hyper-defensive ones, is because they are safe. Because because we have a perception of, like, them being... less risky when we go for them. These are all true things. Like the fairs, the down tilts, like keeping this kind of distance, absolutely. Like this is safer play. The problem is if it's all we do, then like the opponent, we don't have enough firepower to actually win the game. And the opponent then starts to understand that they can just like chip us to like the percents where we're functional, and they can prey on our more limited usage of our tools to go for harder reads like this. So the balance, in my opinion, is just understanding that the two styles have overlap. They need each other. They just need to be brought together more. Like we need to lean on the safe things to give us information so that we can score the critical hits. But they shouldn't be considered so separated from each other. We need A to flow into B and vice versa much more smoothly.
So how would you handle a situation where I've been doing the safe things to build data, but I'm just not seeing the opportunities that I'm looking for?
So I would say that actually we can probably use how we get this last hit as a good example of that. So look at how you're moving here, right? So you get this, you go for that fair into Nair. That's like after, because you didn't CC the first one, this is fairly safe. Then you go for this, you're moving around, you're following him around. You go for that dash attack. The way that you went for that is a good example. So I would say that like you're jockeying for position with your neutral opener. If it doesn't come to you, you're generally backing up and moving and like, resetting. And then once you have pressure on him, that's when you start actually looking for the critical hits. But you are also interacting with him and like competing with him for stage so that you have more to work with behind you if he starts coming forward. Like this is, I think, it works. It's not that different than some of the things you do after the combo, but because you have stage control, you're able to kind of like make more gambles. Or bid, like do more bids basically. Because look at how little like you're in center stage here. Like you get it, but then you back up right away and go all the way to the corner.
Yep.
Like we didn't have to give him center back. So that would be my observation there. Like we backed up really, really far, probably on an assumption that he was gonna like come over, like run all the way over to us because of like our past history with him. And then that's, I think, when we, like, lost this game.
Yeah.
Because you see how awkward it is once he has control of the map?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I think that, like, I think you're actually doing the solution already. It's just not as smooth as it needs to be. But I think that being aware of that will help you put that together because it's not that, like, The safe tools are not the safe tools that give us information, like the pokes that we hit, the dash dances, how they react to that, how they react to us being in like a distance they can't really approach from, whether they come forward or whether they pull away. Yeah, that's all. Like that, all of that is how you figure out what you're how you like where the critical hit is, and all of that is much easier when you have stage to bid and like stage 2 behind you, that you can run those tests with.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. I like that.
So, the only thing that's left is getting back to mentality real quick.
Mm-hmm.
When you notice that your eyes have glazed over and you've got that emotional white knuckle, if you're in the match, how can we get out of this?
So one thing is definitely taking a break.
Yeah, Angel platform, absolutely. But what if we don't have the luxury of the Angel platform?
Going to ledge, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything... I mean, I guess those are honestly the only two that I can think of, because the problem with trying to do it by just backing off is that that's kind of already what I'm doing, and it's not working. Like when I'm just like staying really far away from him.
What if we used that? Because like, let's look at this last stock here. So when you back off, right after this combo, so this is all happening. Fair enough. I think we get hit and we just kind of like vibe for a bit, and then so you both are basically just kind of like not interacting with each other a whole lot in this section, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not interacting with each other anyway, why not use this time to do the deep... No, why not use this time as a spot to do a deep breath and mentally reset?
Do you think that it's the physical action of doing the deep breath that's going to help here? Because I think that might be something I could like consciously work into my game.
I think...
Trying to find moments to consciously take a deep breath.
I think it helps. I think that... So the way I do it, the way I kind of mentally reset in the heat of the moment, you do need a physical action. The reason for that is... The emotional white knuckle is pretty powerful, right? Like it's a very strong like almost knee-jerk feeling response to like things we don't like. So it occupies a lot of our mental stack, and it just kind of like it doesn't let us really engage with what's going on. It's preventing us from doing it. So we need to flush it out of the mental stack. Because of that, we need to engage another process that is not related to it, because it's it's part of the amygdala, like the hindbrain, like that's the part of the brain it uses. We need to use the front of it somehow, because that's what's going to like clear it. So what I would do is deep breath is the starting point, but as you're doing it, you also want to make an observation with it. So tell yourself something about the breath, like how does it feel when it fills your lungs? What does it smell like? It doesn't have to be like complicated. Simple is better, but you need that conscious thought, like that deliberate intentional thought, to help clear some of the emotional muck out of the mental stack. And then the last thing I do when I'm breathing it out is I just acknowledge what I'm feeling. Like I acknowledge that this is frustrating. This is like, as you breathe in and as you breathe out, like, yeah, I am a little frustrated. Like I am down 4-2. I want to win this game. This guy is a lot, this guy's a lot tougher than I thought he would be. But I have beaten people from this position before, so we're going to see what happens. And ideally, you want to also then just think about, like, you just want to find a place of strength to draw from and just kind of run with it. Like, a lot of times I think about the first tournament I ever won. The first time I ever upset a good player. Just a little, or the first time I won teams from losers bracket with a static teammate. Just anything that kind of like gives me positive vibes and reminds me that, yeah, there are, like, I can do this. I'm not saying I will, because this is a 2-player game, but I can do this.
Sorry, go ahead if you're not done.
Nope, I'm done.
When you say that you're thinking about these things, like, for example, when you say, I'm thinking about the time that I got my first upset or the first time I won or something like that, are you picturing in your brain what the gameplay looked like? Or are you just saying those words in your minds, or are you trying to remember what it felt like emotionally when those things happened, or what does that like experience feel like in your brain?
Third one, how it felt.
So it's the emotions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think about, like, I was teaming with, he's no longer with us, unfortunately, but it was a player named Jethro Tex. He was a Peach player, and he was very shy, and I remember how he just, like, was so animated and so, like, happy that we'd finally done this. And we 6-0'd the people that, like, beat us in winners, and it was, like, it felt amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so I think about that. I think about, like, how he smiled. I think about, like, like a combo that we hit, but, like, not really, like, just the end of it. Like, just, like, I think I down throw fair to Jigglypuff into his up air, and then and we killed her off the top of Stadium, because I was on a side platform going into it, because I'm on Stadium, and I think that Puff was at, like, 83 when she died. So it was crazy. Like, we were just like, that was sick. That was nasty. That was so good.
Yeah.
I think about those things. I don't really care about, like, the gameplay itself, because I know I'm in a different situation. But what isn't changed is how me, David, like the person, responds to, like, stressors. So I know that the thing I need is usually, like, I need to find a way to turn that anxiousness, which I'm very grateful for, because it's a sign I care about this. I need to turn it into something that doesn't make me freeze. So I look for determination, because I feel like anxiety, fear, frustration, they become determination or, like, resolve so easily if we just acknowledge they're there and then, like, are willing to work with them. But I feel like when we try to block them out, they just get mad at us that we're ignoring them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think that's kind of been my strategy so far, and it doesn't work super well to just suppress them. Like, I think it's better than doing nothing, but I don't think it's nearly as good as actually, like, clearing them out from the brain.
Well, what you're doing is you're embracing them, because once we embrace them, then we own them. They're ours. We have power over them. But when we try to suppress them, they're gonna come out in their own way anyway. So if they're gonna come out in their own way anyhow, why don't we do what we can to have a little say in that? Yeah.
I think that's really helpful. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. By that's really helpful, do you mean just kind of like framing how we're gonna approach the mental game?
I think I guess I mean a mixture of things, but I think in particular, the things that I'm going to try to directly apply are trying to find a moment that I can step back from the gameplay to consciously take a deep breath and try to do that sort of emotional reset that you're talking about, where you just imagine, like, what it felt like when the game was just fun and it wasn't stressful and it wasn't, you weren't worrying about, like, losing or, like, worrying about anything. Like, it was just like, this is a moment of, like, emotional bliss that I felt connected to this game. I think that I like that that's something concrete that I can directly apply to my mentality. Because part of the problem with mentality is that it's so hard to find direct things that you can do, because, like, it's so abstract, like, what the problems are and what the solutions are.
Yeah.
That's the problem that I think most people have with it, is that
I know, I hate that advice. Like, it's so, they're just like be happy, lol, and it's like, no, it's not that complicated. It's not that simple.
Yeah, because in that moment, what they're doing is, it's like if you have like a problem, and they're just telling you, just get to the end state, and I'm like, okay, like it's like I'm in this maze, right, and I'm trying to figure out how to get through this maze. And the advice is, find the exit. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, thanks. Like, I don't know what to do with that. Like, I need, like, an actual concrete, like, what do I do in this moment to bring myself closer to the exit? And the response is just, I don't know, just be at the exit already, like, lol.
Just be good. Like, just get good, lol.
Yeah.
And it varies for everyone. Like, it varies a little bit for everyone, but the steps I usually advise people on, the ones that we've walked through, they're fairly static, because what they are is we're using a grounding... if you want to know more about this, and I'll write some of this out and send it to you, but it's... we're using a grounding technique. So a grounding technique is basically something that helps us reconnect with our senses. Some people some people don't do the breathing. Some people find it doesn't work for them. So it is kind of like a test, like, you know you best, so test what works for you. I find that most people respond well to the breathing, but some people I've worked with, they need music. The music helps them more because you can follow the tune, and that's just what vibes with them. Other people, they'll like plant their feet, because that also works. That uses touch. So like there's different ways to do it, but the reason we use a sense is because it lets us make an observation that's simple, not linked, and it's not linked to the outcome of the game. So it's not performance based, because we need that to like help clear. Otherwise, if we make like a performance based observation here, all it's going to do is exacerbate the problem. Because the problem is, like, we're not performing well. There's something about this that isn't going right. It's just going to make it worse. So we need to create that sense of psychological distance, because if we don't do that, we're not going to clear our mental stack properly, and it's just going to come back the next time that something goes wrong. So joy, I think that it's very astute of you that you're like leaning into bliss, because joy is one hell of a counter. Like joy and gratitude, really, like expectation cannot survive in their presence. So, yeah, I would say that is a great angle to look at this from. And I think if you have questions about it or want my input on like the process, feel free to reach out. But yeah, I think you're on a really good starting path.
I will, yeah. I think I know we're wrapping up here, but one final thought on this topic. So I said that like a year ago I had this really terrible tournament, and I kind of had a really hard time performing at majors. And tournament nerves have definitely been something that I've struggled with throughout my entire time playing this game. But it's like over certain, it goes away and then it comes back, and it goes away and it comes back, etc. But the most successful strategy that I have experienced recently for dealing with that, which I think has helped me at least not feel all that anxiety going into the game, has been taking a hand warmer, even if I feel fine, like my hands are warm already, and just doing wave dashes across the stage and doing like deep breathing while I'm doing it. I feel like it helps me, like the act of like performing tech skill while also doing that type of deep breathing exercise has allowed me to kind of like almost breathe out the anxiety. And I think that's what's made it possible for me to deal with some of these things before the game. So I really like the solution that you're proposing, even, like, especially the breathing. I think the breathing probably will work for me for that reason, because I already have experience with it. But if it doesn't, I can definitely try other things.
For sure.
But I like that it's sort of a concrete way that I can apply something that's already working for me in these tense situations where I'm experiencing these problems.
Oh yeah, if you can, like, this, I think this will be the closing thought, but I'm thrilled to hear that you've already kind of like found ways to get mental footing before the set, and that they're congruent with the things that we're suggesting here too, because that'll make it easier to form that link. And the more that we reinforce that connection between like calm, relaxed focus and breathing, and even the wave dash back, like that's not a bad way to like buy time to do these things, right? Like all things considered, like who the heck is punishing Marth's wave dash, like full wave dash back directly, right? So maybe Falcon, I guess. So okay,
Yeah,
might have Falcon problems, but whatever. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But it's like at the end of the day, the more we reinforce that, the more our brain loves patterns. So yeah, I am very excited to hear what you come up with on this, and I feel very, very, very encouraged on this.
Yeah, I'm excited to go to a tournament and try this stuff.
Amazing. Practice beforehand. Ranked is great for this. And with that, I'm gonna let you go. But I'm really glad we did this. This was a great session, I think.
I agree. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
No problem. We'll talk soon. Bye, life.
Bye.